buenos días a todos. Me llamo Raphael Bemporad de Nueva York, en Brooklyn, New York. Es un placer, verdad, de estar con todos ustedes aquí en Buenos Aires. Mis padres son italianos, mi esposa es colombiana, mi hija es todo, de todo. And es verdad un placer, gracias a Sustainable Brands, a Urban, a todos ustedes. I'm going to speak in English, if that's okay, but I'm really delighted to be here to share a very profound shift that's happening in culture globally that presents a tremendous opportunity for sustainability and for sustainable brands. And this is based on global research across more than 20 different countries over the last 3 years that BBMG did with our partners GlobeScan. And what we're really trying to do is to reveal the intersection between human beings and consumers' deepest values and aspirations with their behavior as consumers and behavior in society. And so what I'm going to share today is a little bit more about this culture shift, who these aspirational consumers are, what they mean to brands, and 5 ways that we as brand leaders and business leaders and marketers can leverage these trends culturally to drive more profitable business that's also meaningful for people and impactful in positive ways for society, and how we can leverage this shift in sustainability from obligation to desire. And so what our research has revealed is that we're actually approaching a tipping point globally in what sustainability can mean to consumers that's moving from a sense of obligation to the opportunity for delight and desire and pleasure and joy. And this moment of opportunity is really based on a shift that's happened over about 20 years. For the first 15 years or so of sustainability and marketing, it was really about trying to articulate a green benefit. And it was much more around obligation. It was like taking medicine. It was something that we felt was good for us and we needed to do, but it wasn't something that was pleasurable or joyful or particularly meaningful beyond that sense of responsibility. But what's happening now, thanks to innovative brands like a Nike or a Unilever, like brands like Natura, is there's a shift toward desire, which is that embedded in the brand is something more holistic as a value proposition that's more deeply meaningful and purposeful, more joyful and creative, that connects us in more meaningful ways to ourselves, to our communities, and to the planet around us. And we're at this moment where if you look at ease and time, where there's an opportunity for brands to step forward and lead. Not only where sustainability, again, is we heard not necessarily the word sustainability, but the idea behind sustainability can be a driver of brand differentiation, of brand experience, in a way where today we can actually get credit as leaders, because it's very clear to us looking at shifts in global trends that sustainability within our brands is going to be ubiquitous in the next 10 years. So now's actually a moment for leadership to get credit and to help grow your business and grow your brands with sustainability in mind. This shift is being driven by changing expectations among consumers, from what we call the tyranny of or to the power of and. It used to be that there was always a trade-off. It was either high-performing or accessible or beautiful, or it was sustainable. And now brands like EcoCycle, like American brand Warby Parker, like Nike, are showing the power of both and, that you can actually design all the way at the beginning with sustainability in mind, with a deeper sense of meaning and community and creativity. And that is the new expectation of billions of consumers around the world that we call aspirationals. Aspirationals is really a psychographic. Aspirationals are found in every culture, in every income bracket, across every type of lifestyle. But what we've revealed is that aspirationals are really, traditionally, they're younger, they're wired, they're very strong in emerging markets, they're slightly more female. And they're shifting the sustainability conversation from being just the right thing to do to also being the cool thing to do. And that opens the door to culture. That opens the door to different kinds of social norms and behavior change that can reach scale because they're a big enough market. And here's how we understood the segment to get to who the aspirationals are. They are 38% of the global population. And as you can see here, as we plotted them, they're on two axes. The y-axis is materialism. These are things like I love to shop. I care a lot about how I look and my style. My status socially matters to me. I'm seeking social validation. I'm an influencer of my peers and my friends and my family. So that's the sort of dimensions behind materialism. But equally on the bottom in the x-axis, you see social and environmental values, caring more deeply about where our products come from, who made them, their impact on our communities or the planet, and wanting to stand for a deeper set of values, a deeper set of meaning in the purchases that we make, and that our role can play a part. And for too long, marketers in sustainability have been trying to do green marketing, which I think is a big problem, which is market a sustainable benefit. And we've been targeting this 21% of advocates who are people who are very oriented to sustainability. They care a lot and they matter entirely on substance. We have to deliver transparently and authentically in walking our talk and delivering on our promises to advocates because they do their homework and they know what we're doing and they're looking. But the challenge with advocates is they are very skeptical of brands. They don't like to shop. And they don't see brands necessarily as a solution. But the aspirationals, who, as you can see, are highly oriented around shopping and style and status, are almost as equally committed to social and environmental values. And at 38% of the global marketplace, we're talking about 2 billion consumers worldwide. And what they do is they make things cool. The things they say, the brands that they purchase, the way that they participate actually creates cultural norms. It shapes behavior in society. It makes things aspirational. It's pull, not push. And so it's through the lens of understanding the aspirationals' needs and desires that we can communicate sustainability in an entirely new way. To honor advocates on the substance, delight aspirationals creatively and culturally, and with the delivery of great products. And when they make things desirable, when they make things normal, practicals follow, and then we have a full mainstream marketplace. But just alone, aspirationals at 1/3 of the global population provides a tremendous opportunity to scale sustainability. And that's what we want to unlock today. In terms of the demographics as well, aspirationals are everywhere. They're 38%. Their average age is 40, but they are over-indexed as millennials and Generation X, slightly more female than male. And interestingly, they match the sort of mean in every market for income and education. So it's not just if people have extra resources or if they're particularly well educated. This is something that transcends income and education, and it's a deeper human set of values. As you can see, the global presence, all of the blue is markets where there are more than 40% of the population being aspirational, and in green is between 20 and 39. As you can see, the #1 country is India, with 58% of the country being aspirational, followed by China, South Korea, Indonesia, Australia, Nigeria, here in South America, Peru, and Canada. In Europe, in the UK, United States, it's about 1/3, between 33 and 37% of the population. If we look at the Americas, interestingly, it's slightly younger. There are more millennials in the Americas who are aspirational. Peru, again, is your largest market, along with Canada in North America. And you can see Brazil, it's about 1/3. And Argentina, like Mexico, it's about 1 in 5 consumers. But what we believe is they are the influencers and the early adopters of what's happening, not in responsibility, but in culture. And so they provide a pathway to create a pull and a desire for sustainable brands. Here are some of the dimensions that define aspirationals. More than any other segment, they say that they are happy, and that shopping for new things makes them happy. And you can see here more than any other segment, and advocates, no advocate said that shopping makes them happy in terms of the top 2 boxes. And so more than any other segment, they are participating with brands. They're shopping in the marketplace. They also are more likely than any other, or equal to practicals, in trusting global companies to act in the best interest of society. So they actually like brands, and they desire brands, and they want brands to help them be part of the solution. They're also, and this is a really interesting conundrum and contradiction, like advocates, aspirational say, I believe we need to consume less to preserve the environment for future generations. We'll talk about this contradiction. And like advocates who define themselves by advocacy, aspirationals encourage others to buy from socially and environmentally responsible companies. And when we ask them open-ended to name the most socially responsible companies in their marketplace, this was an open-ended question, a brand that is delivering on social and environmental impact. Here in Argentina at the bottom you can see La Serenísima was the most mentioned brand among all aspirational consumers, followed by Coca-Cola and Arcor. You see in Brazil Petrobras and Coca-Cola Natura. In China and Medea, and Germany's BMW, Tata in India, Tesco in the UK, and Microsoft in the US. And I think this brings honestly together a couple dimensions. One is global recognition, just brands that are well known. Second is sort of regional or market-based pride. And then the third, like a Natura, real pioneering sustainability leadership. And so these are the companies that they perceive as leading us to this new flourishing future. So why aspirationals? And then I'm going to share ways we can leverage the power of our brands to reach and engage them in meaningful ways. Well, they're providing a certain kind of alchemy and chemistry that provides an incredible force for change. Number one, they are cultural influencers. Number two, they are shoppers. They are oriented around materialism, and we can now shift that. We can shift that behavior toward more sustainable behaviors and purchases. But they're big enough, sizable enough to make a profitable marketplace. And then finally, they're deeply interested and inspired by sustainability values, and they want to play their part. So we have this really interesting contradiction, and innovation teaches us, and dynamic tension. And innovation teaches us never let a dynamic tension go to waste. And so here we have a complete contradiction, that aspirationals love to shop, and yet they want to consume less, and they define happiness beyond material things. Well, as an innovator, this provides the greatest opportunity in a generation to rethink consumption, to look at things like sharing and making and closed-loop design, to literally allow for this contradiction to be solved by the way we think, by the way we create, by the way we collaborate. And so this provides an invitation to thinking about branding, design, and marketing in a new way. And so I'd like to sort of share in the back half of this presentation 5 ways to engage aspirational consumers that we can use as pathways to delight them and to ultimately shift sustainability towards scale. And the first is called manifesto, which is give consumers something to believe in that's bigger than the product benefit. Aspirationals are yearning to be inspired by something that is bigger than the product. They want a strong point of view. They want to understand your values and your ethos, that you put a flag in the ground and stand for something more than the next quarter's profits or a transactional sale and relationship. And when you start with your higher purpose, it's incredible what you can unlock culturally. Holsti is a brand in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, that started their business not by asking what could we make, but by asking what could we stand for? What might we embody from our values perspective? And so they got together and they wrote the Holsti Manifesto. And they articulated sort of a belief system about life and being and lifestyle that says, this is your life. Do what you love and do it often. If you don't like something, change it. And at the end, live your dream and share your passion. So they put out a belief system, and now they make home goods, they make posters, apparel, greeting cards. And this poster has been downloaded 100 million times around the world. Not because they make the best greeting cards in the world, but because they stand for something much bigger than what they make. And it has tapped a zeitgeist of a whole generation that's trying to create more meaning in their life, in their work, and by joining with brands to change the world around us. The second example is SoulCycle, which is a spinning club. It's a network of great sports studios where you do spinning with DJs who curate amazing music. But they've united body, mind, and soul, and they've elevated your workout to the level of something spiritual. And they've said, when you walk in our doors, you are anything that you seek to be. And they invite you, one ride at a time, to change your body, take your journey, and find your soul. With just 25 studios, they earn $90 million every year. They are now doubling to 50 different studios globally. And this is all driven by not articulating we have the best cycle that you can spin on, but we have a belief system about what's possible and the role that you can play in being something bigger than the product itself. So number one, let's give consumers something to believe in. The second is badge, which is let's give consumers a community to belong to. Brands are uniquely able to be part of how we identify who we are, to construct our identity, our meaning in community. And what brands allow us to do is to leverage that in order to go deeper in our relationships with consumers and to impact and influence communities. I think one of the perhaps the greatest success story around badge is Tom's Shoes, which with the Tom's flag stands for the unification of great style, led by style, with personal identity that you're joining with them, but you're part of a community of shared values that's using one for one as a model to not just get products that you enjoy and are delightful to you, but to make a difference. And this has been improved on with Warby Parker, like really thinking about how you have sustainable impact in communities. But it's a really important example of how style, identity, and sustainable values come together. Another great example is a new startup in the United States called Lyft. It's a peer-to-peer ride-sharing company that has people who have cars giving rides to people who need rides. And it's all enabled with your cell phone, and it allows you to get in cars that are literally in your neighborhood to give you a ride. Now, it's kind of awkward to get into a car with a stranger. And so they've created this badge of this huge pink mustache that literally goes on the front of every Lyft car. And it says in a delightful way, we're part of the same community. We're part of the same tribe. This badge is a symbol that we're trying to not only find a solution together with the assets that we have, but we can be part of a community and a culture that's bigger than ourselves. And they've just received $83 million in investment to go from San Francisco to 25 other cities in the United States. When you get in the car, everybody does a fist bump as a way to literally physically touch each other and say, we broke the ice. Welcome into my car as we go forward. The third is megaphone, which is amplify their voice and invite in their creativity. More than any other consumer, aspirationals are really eager to share their opinions and their ideas to help brands create solutions. And so there's a lot of innovation around co-creativity and co-creation happening in the United States. One is a TV network called Participant Media and Pivot TV. And with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's an actor, they're literally crowdsourcing creativity. So they put a pilot script, an idea for a television program online, and then writers and editors and actors all share their ideas. Then they bring in people with the best ideas, produce the creative content, and share the revenues with hundreds of makers and contributors. It's reinventing a media model that allows creativity to be collectively harnessed. Another example is more around making with GE Garages and MakerBot, which in cities across the country are bringing tools and experts and things like 3D printers and fuel injection molders together, where they ask creators, inventors, designers, and communities to solve challenges that have been surfaced through GE, or to create your own idea, and it's connected to GE Ventures, so the best ideas then receive funding and move into the marketplace. And so whether it's creating content with Pivot TV or making new things with GE garages, inviting their creativity and giving them a megaphone for their ideas. 4th out of 5 is currency, which is give them social status and something to share. Aspirationals, like no other segment, are really looking to participate in culture and be validated for their ideas and their creativity as well. And I look at something like Instagram. 1 year ago was acquired by Facebook for $1 billion. And now every single day they have 100 million users and 40 million photographs are being presented every single day. But the problem is, we understand in this that there's a desire for validation and for sharing, but toward what end? But what if we harness this interest towards something more meaningful and more purposeful? Well, Upworthy is a startup in the United States by the founders of Move On, an advocacy organization that brings together the same intent as Instagram. It posts things that are visual, that are meaningful, and awesome. And so it's all about social issues like poverty or hunger or creative ideas and solving things in very human ways. And this has 50 million members in its first year. And then finally, Rally. Give consumers a platform to participate and to take action for impact. And a great example is The Body Shop, who, as you know, has been a campaigning organization since its founding by Anita Roddick. But in the last 5 to 10 years, they've rallied 1 million people to sign a petition to ban animal testing in the European Union, and now they've accomplished that goal. It's now illegal to test on animals in cosmetics in the European Union, and even China is now rethinking its policy on animal testing in cosmetics. Similarly, Unilever brand Ben & Jerry's, which has had shared and linked prosperity as part of its ethos from the beginning, they bring campaigning and rally to life in delightful ways with their unique, clever, and playful communications. They're helping take on GMOs, fighting to save family farms, looking at fair trade with fair trade ingredients, and promoting marriage equality in the United States, all in delightful ways to create positive impact. And so when we can bring these dimensions together, we have huge opportunities to take sustainable brands to scale through the lens not of obligation, but of desire. So what are the lessons and the takeaways in conclusion? The first is to honor universal values. Aspirationals show us that it's not just the narrow functional benefits that matter, it's also understanding and acknowledging the deeper human aspirations of purpose and belonging, voice, status, participation, and impact. Number 2, let's design for humanity. And it's taking what we learned in innovation around human-centered design and making it humanity-centered design by bringing different dimensions into the innovation process. Human aspiration, those deeper yearnings for our life. Innovation from an ecosystem perspective. Because when you think about the system, when you pull a thread on one side, everything else changes because things are interconnected. And then finally, participation, which is bring consumers into the innovation process and invite them to take action as a consequence. And we have a workshop today that'll be actually applying humanity-centered design to do this for aspirationals. This also, aspirationals provide a lens to bring together the siloed elements in our companies: strategy, marketing, sustainability, product development, and consumers and producers into one system. And when you bring the system in the room, as Sally and Coanne have said, we can unlock new opportunities for value. And then finally, and in conclusion, disrupted delight. We have a huge opportunity by integrating sustainability and the power of brands to disrupt our businesses by rethinking the way we create value. But we need to do it in a way that creates delight and joy and creativity through delightful brand experiences. And when you bring together disruptive thinking with delightful experiences, we unlock the full potential of sustainable brands that embody a brand purpose, that drive business growth and profitability in a healthy way, that drive social and environmental impact, and invite the consumer to join us on the journey. So what I hope you've taken from today is the opportunity to see a bigger picture for sustainability and brands, that it's no longer about obligation, it's an opportunity for creativity and desire, and we can do this together to scale not only the growth of our businesses, but the impact we have in the world. Muchísimas gracias, and thank you very much.